the classroom went dead silent. 20 pairs of eyes stared at the new teacher in disbelief. Moments ago, a group of boys had been laughing, making jokes about her size, her clothes, and her soft voice. But now, those same boys were frozen in shock as she effortlessly stood in a perfect martial arts stance, her gaze sharp, her body balanced like a coiled spring. They had no idea that beneath the calm smile of Miss Ava Clarke lay the discipline and power of a black belt. Chapter 1: The First Day. It was the first Monday of the new school year at Oakwood High, and the hallways buzzed with the usual chaos: lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking, laughter bouncing off the walls. Miss Ava Clarke walked in, holding a small stack of books close to her chest. At 27 years old, she had finally landed her first full-time teaching job. It was her dream to inspire kids, to help them believe in themselves. She wore a modest cardigan, black slacks, and a neat bun, nothing flashy, nothing intimidating. But first impressions in high school aren't always kind. In the back corner of her classroom sat 3 boys: Ethan, Kyle, and Mason, known troublemakers. Their specialty was making new teachers' lives miserable. They thrived on pushing buttons, crossing lines, and seeing how far they could go before someone snapped. When Ava introduced herself with a gentle smile, Kyle snickered, "Wow, guess they hired a babysitter." Ethan whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, "She's so tiny, a strong wind could blow her over." Mason just smirked, leaning back in his chair. Ava heard every word. But instead of reacting, she simply continued. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Miss Clarke, and I believe this year can be amazing if we choose to make it so." Chapter 2: Whispers and Rumors. By the end of the first week, Ava had heard all the comments about her quiet voice, jokes about her soft personality, even a rumor that she was too young to control a class. Some of the other teachers noticed. "Don't take it personally," said Mrs. Carter from next door. "They test every new teacher. Most of them quit before winter." Ava smiled politely, but inside, the words stung. She had worked for years to get here, even while facing challenges most people never knew about. She'd been bullied herself in school for being too different, too quiet, too focused on books instead of parties. That pain had never fully left her, but it had also shaped her. What the students didn't know was that Ava had spent the last 15 years training in martial arts, not for violence, but for discipline, respect, and self-control. She was a second-degree black belt in karate and had even competed nationally. But she never bragged. She believed respect had to be earned, not demanded. Chapter 3: The Breaking Point. 2 weeks later, it happened. The boys were worse than ever, interrupting lessons, throwing paper balls, making loud fake coughing sounds whenever Ava spoke. That day, she was teaching Shakespeare, and halfway through reading a passage, she heard Mason mutter under his breath, "Bet she's never been in a fight in her life." The class laughed. Ava closed her book. Then came the moment that tipped everything over. Kyle, trying to impress his friends, stood up and mimicked a karate stance in mockery. "Hi-ya! Look at me, I'm Miss Clarke, so scary." The laughter was louder now. Ava took a slow breath. She knew this was the moment she had to decide: ignore it and lose their respect forever, or take control in a way they'd never forget. Chapter 4: The Demonstration. "All right, Kyle," Ava said calmly, "since you seem interested in martial arts, why don't you join me at the front of the class?" The room went still. Kyle grinned, thinking she was about to embarrass herself. He sauntered forward. Ava gently pushed 2 desks aside, creating a small open space. She removed her cardigan, revealing a fitted training shirt underneath. The embroidered kanji on the sleeve caught a few students' eyes. "What you're trying to imitate," she said, "is something I've practiced for over a decade. Martial arts is about respect, control, and focus, not making fun of others. But since you're curious." And then, in one smooth, lightning-fast motion, Ava executed a spinning hook kick that stopped an inch from the trash can, knocking the lid off with a loud clang. The class gasped. She stepped back into a perfect stance, breathing steady. That was control. If I had no control, the trash can wouldn't still be standing. Kyle's face turned red. The other boys looked away, suddenly fascinated with their desks. Chapter 5: Earning Respect. Word spread through the school by lunch. Miss Clarke can kick like a movie stunt double. She's a black belt. Don't mess with her unless you want to end up on the floor. But something interesting happened. Her students' behavior started to change. They weren't afraid of her, but they respected her. She used her martial arts skills not to intimidate, but to teach lessons about discipline, self-belief, and perseverance. One day, she stayed after school to help Ethan with his writing assignment. She learned he acted out because his parents were going through a messy divorce. Mason eventually admitted he was failing math and used jokes to cover his embarrassment. Kyle confessed that he'd been bullied in middle school and thought being the tough guy was the only way to avoid being a target again. Ava listened without judgment. She offered encouragement, guidance, and sometimes a little tough love. Slowly, those three boys who had been her biggest problem became her biggest supporters. Chapter 6: The Real Lesson. By the end of the semester, Ava's class had the highest participation rate in the school. Students volunteered to help with projects, stayed after class for extra tutoring, and even organized a Respect Week campaign against bullying. On the last day before winter break, Ethan stood up during class and said, "Miss Clarke, you taught us a lot about English, but you also taught us about respect and that strength isn't about hurting people. It's about helping them." Ava smiled, her heart full. "And you all taught me that even the toughest walls can come down with patience, understanding, and a little courage." Ending message for video. So if you've ever been underestimated, mocked, or doubted, remember this: your strength might not be visible to everyone at first, but it's there, waiting for the right moment to shine. And when it does, it can change more than just your life. Loudspeaker call to action for your channel: be kind always. If this story inspired you, drop a comment below telling us your favorite moment. Share your own story about overcoming doubt or standing up to bullies, we'd love to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe to Be Kind Always for more powerful, real-life inspired stories that remind us, kindness is strength, and respect is everything. If you'd like, I can now expand this draft into the full 5,000-word version with more dialogue, slower emotional pacing, and extra subplots so it perfectly matches YouTube storytelling length. That way it'll be ready to record in one go. Do you want me to go ahead and build that expanded full-length script?